And welcome back. Welcome back to another fresh episode of the Daddio Show. What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? This is Ison-Bowman from partnerwithgreatness.com. Lined up another special interview. I want to tell you real quick before I introduce our special guest what's going on here, who you're listening to, why we're doing this. Partner with Greatness is a youth development platform. We want to help you heal up from damages you may have been dealt in life and control what you can control so you can move on and live that most powerful and blessed life possible. I got David Cozart on the line here. What's going on, David?
How you doing, my brother?
Doing great. David is the director of the Fatherhood Initiative with the Lexington Leadership Foundation. Don't know him in person yet, but it's amazing how this common interest in this work we're doing has brought us together and has brought me into contact with a lot of amazing people. So looking forward to getting to know David more and enjoying this smash interview we're about to do. David, you know what, man? I'm going to blame the devil on how hard it's been for us to get together. Like, he knew we were about to stir up something special over here.
Well, he must be scared of the dynamic duo we're about to become, huh?
Yes, sir. It's it's tended to be that way with a lot of people. Just like, even though of course we're all busy, there's something about this podcast that makes schedules go haywire, and it's hard to get folks together. But man, once it happens, it's awesome. So appreciate your time. Glad to have you on here. You and I both just finished eating. We're ready to rock here. So I had a chance to kind of do a little research on you and look up some interviews you'd done and stuff like that. I know you could talk all day about, the program itself, and I want you to feel free to plug anything you want to plug on here, but I want to kind of tackle this intro and background segment a little differently and ask you this way. I can look up on the internet who the world says you are, but who do you say you are? And what is your reason for being a fatherhood advocate?
Wow. Came out banging, didn't you? Let's just get it started. Who do I say I am? At this point in life, and in this season, I'm real glad to be able to say I'm a child of God. You know what I'm saying? First and foremost. And if I were not that, bro, I would be a lot worse off, I think. But in addition to that, man, I would say that I'm somebody that fairly perpetually think about what I can do to enhance the human condition and what it has become. That consumes me a lot. And of course, part of doing that is taking care of that which is immediately within my charge, my wife, my children, my family, and then my work. And so I like to think that, the tasks that I do for my family and my children are part of improving the human condition. And then, man, I would say I'm a guy that's blessed to be here and to be doing the work that I am.
Awesome, man. So you, to me, it feels very specific. When I say to myself, I'm rocking fatherhood stuff. I'm advocating for the fatherless out there. That's the calling that's placed on my life. And I see somebody out here, David's out here doing a Fatherhood Initiative. To me, that it feels very specific. Because as important as I think it is, I don't see the conversation happening around fatherhood out there in the world as much as I would think it should be happening. How did you come to be, specifically an advocate for fatherhood and kind of playing the role that you play around that topic?
Yeah. I am smarter and wiser and more genius than anybody else on the earth, and realized that fatherhood was the root cause of things. And if I fixed that, we'd be fixing a lot of other things simultaneously. The latter part of that is true. The former part is not at all true. But how I came to do it was identifying that common thread in all the work that I did. So, and when I graduated college, I jumped right into sort of the human services arena. I was a counselor at Earl C. Clements Job Corps down in West Kentucky, and there were young men and young ladies literally from around the world in the middle of a cornfield in Western Kentucky that had come from uh, some pretty sticky situations in their towns. Folks from New York, folks from Miami, Florida, folks from the Dominican Republic.
Wow.
Folks from Jamaica there, and they were all young teens that were having challenges. And I noted early in that, my first real job, that a lot of them, when I counseled them, they would talk about their family structure that was absent of a father. I went from there, moved up here to Lex, and I was working at a maternity home for unwed teen mothers, Florence Crittenden Home. Talking to those young ladies, some of the most fulfilling years of my life. I was there for 5 years, but again, I noticed a lot of them came from Eastern Kentucky or other places where they were in homes that were absent of a father. Went from there, worked in the community. I was a community development specialist in neighborhoods. I noticed that there are a lot of issues and a lot of challenges with fathers. And so when I left Florence Crittenden Home, in my mind, I was seeing this common thread. And by that time, I had become a father as well in my life. And it was just sort of orchestrated that way.
Yeah. Yeah. So, way before you biologically became a father, you were like attuned to that fatherhood itch, that fatherhood need, and the critical importance of fatherhood. Right on, man.
Yeah, well said.
Yeah, that's good stuff. So, with all that being said, all your experiences combined, what do you think is the best thing that fathers can offer?
Presence for their children and diligence. And the reason I've started adding, I've always said presence because, they want to know you're there and around and there for them. But I've added diligence because since I've been in the field for more than 20 years or nearly 20 years now, I know that there are fathers that because of uh, their current circumstances or because of relationships and some toxicity in those relationships, there are some fathers that really can't be physically present with their child. And so I add diligence because that diligence, even if not physically present, will impact positively their children. So I work with cats that are in jail, a lot,
Wow.
and they can't be present. But are they still the father of their children? Is there still a role that they can play, though they made some choices that has physically removed them? And so we seek to teach them to be diligent in their efforts to communicate and to continuously reach out for and to intercede for their child. And there are fathers that aren't incarcerated, but because of the gatekeeping that's going on, perhaps with the child's family, maybe the maternal side, maybe there are issues in the relationship. And I know men that are actually trying to get visitations and get custodies that have a challenge doing that. And that's also when that diligence piece would be applicable. So presence and diligence is one of the main things they can offer. And then it'd be closely followed by provision, both emotionally and economically.
Yeah. That diligence, that's good. Haven't quite thought of it that way. It kind of reminds me of my concept of the word vigilance. It's like you can't just rest back on your heels and be passive or inactive in the game of fatherhood because the obstacles and the threats are many, and the job isn't going to do itself. That's kind of where my mind went with that.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Yeah. When that child gets older and that father may not have been there, you will at least want to be able to say, or that child will at least want to be able to know that my daddy did due diligence in trying to be all he could be for me based on the circumstances.
Yeah, yeah. Stewarded that time as best he could. Yes, sir. Um, so kind of flipping it, what's the biggest loss associated with being dad deprived? I'm reading this book, The Boy Crisis by Dr. Warren Farrell right now. I don't know if you've checked it out or anything, but yeah, Warren Farrell calls terms that, being dad deprived, what we call, growing up fatherless or whatever. What do you think is the biggest loss that you see, that like the biggest deficit that causes when a young person grows up, without that father figure?
Um, just the self-image and self-confidence component that is associated with the absence of a father. Regardless of how family gets defined or redefined, as it were, I believe that we as human beings, both regardless of gender, have an inherent sense of the unit that is supposed to be around us. And when that unit is not around us, it starts stripping us of stuff. So part of that self-image and confidence, a sense of being. So I think that's a huge piece. I think that's the reason, well, we know, I believe, that's the reason that people seek to fill that void of father absence with, gang related behavior, promiscuity, risky, risk taking, high risk taking behavior,
Mm-hmm.
all those things. So I have not read the book that you're talking about, but I like his language of dad deprived.
Mm-hmm.
In lieu of fatherless, because I say you'll hear my language be father absent, not fatherless, because even the language of fatherless implies, and I used to use it, and people in the field still use it, but I'm trying to relearn that, because to me to say that you're fatherless, actually there's the potential for something in your subconscious to say there's a piece of me that is not there perpetually. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You're not fatherless. There's not a question as to whether you have a father evident by your existence. It's just a matter of where is that father and what stage of development is he.
Yeah.
And so I don't want to curse you with saying you're father absent,
Yeah.
or fatherless, or your dad deprived, as the brother says,
And, yeah, that excuse me, that's profound, and just kind of convicted me to think intentionally about my language as well. Yeah, I mean, that's a strong word to say. Like, you curse somebody, but you stigmatize or trigger some feelings of worthlessness just by the word you use, and that can lead you down a road that you don't want to go down, especially if you're trying to equip and empower and encourage somebody.
Yeah.
So I appreciate you drawing my attention to that. I'm going to go off the script here a little bit. I didn't have this question written down, but it occurred to me, that since my podcast is dual purpose, it's like a mentoring session for men, fathers, mentor figures who want to become better at their craft or just feed on some positivity and some ideas that they can use, and then plus a mentoring session for those who are dad deprived, maybe younger people who want to have some comfort, have some direction, like have somebody speak some life into them. I want to take a second now and ask you, I love your energy. I love your fatherly vibe. I want to ask you to speak some life over young people, especially young men, because that's where my heart's at. Nothing, not to leave the young ladies out. I just feel specifically called for young men. But what can you say? You talked about self-image and the feelings of maybe there's something missing. What can you say to speak some life into those younger people who are dad deprived right now? What do you want to say to them to maybe help them kind of have an improved vision of themselves?
Yeah. That whatever is going on, whatever the situation is, that if their father is not there, that for one, they're not to blame for it. You young man are not to blame for the absence of your father. You young man, love your mother strongly. But you young men also have the potential to still be all that God has called you to be. You got great purpose in you, even if your father's not there physically. And also know, young man, that wherever your father is, if he's not there, there is something in him that is shaped like you, that he is thinking about you more than you know. He's thinking about you likely on a daily basis. And if he screws up, he's thinking about you. When he's trying to do better, he's trying to do better for you. And perhaps one of the reasons he's not there is not because of you, it's because of him and who he knows he's yet to become. And he wants you to see him complete, and he doesn't want you to see him incomplete. Uh, and so the reason he's not there is there may be some reasons he's not there. He wants you to see him as the best man he can be, because he wants you to be, really, he actually wants you to be a better man than him, and he loves you. Yeah.
Preach, Brother David. My goodness.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think that was if we didn't get anything else covered in the whole episode, I'm glad we got that in there. Wow.